Good evening, everyone. So, we are honored and delighted to have Sawako Nakayasu visit us again this evening. She gave a tremendous reading 3 years ago, I think it was, with Japanese poet Yoshimasu Gozu in 2017, which was a very memorable evening. And it is a pleasure to welcome her back to UChicago. We're grateful to her for her talk today at noontime, which I know many of you were here for, about translation, which was really excellent and provocative. And I know I'll be thinking about some of the ideas that you mentioned for years to come. And we are grateful to her for selecting our student winner for the New Voices in Poetry Award, Serene Lee. Sawako Nakayasu is a one-of-a-kind artist working with language, performance, and translation, separately and in various virtuosic combinations. She has lived mostly in the United States and Japan, and briefly in France and China. She translates from the Japanese. And her books include The Ants from Les Figues Press, Texture Notes from Letter Machine Editions, and she has not one or two, but three forthcoming books of poetry, if I'm correct in counting, which we are awaiting with great anticipation. Two collections of her own poems titled Some Girls Walk into the Country They Are From, which will be published by Wave Books, Pink Waves, which will appear with Omnidon, and then the third is an anthology of 20th century Japanese poetry that she co-edited with Eric Selland and will be published by New Directions in the fall, I think. Yes.
No, that one's not in the fall.
Okay, soon. It's coming soon. Sawako is the translator of the collected poems of Chika Sagawa and Mouth Eats Color, Sagawa Chika Translations, Anti-Translations, and Originals, which we heard about today at lunchtime, which is a multilingual work of both original and translated poetry, and it will soon be reprinted by Wave Books. Okay, so that's 4 titles. Yes, she teaches at Brown University, where she's assistant professor of literary arts. And before turning it over to Sawako, I want to thank our wonderful co-sponsors at the Center for East Asian Studies, as well as Starsha Gill, Mei Huang, and Jessie Haley in Creative Writing for arranging this event so beautifully. So without further ado, or adid, please join me in giving Sawako a warm Chicago welcome.
Good evening. Chicago has been warm to me in multiple ways so far, so thank you, and thanks everyone for coming out tonight. Thank you to the English department and also the Center for East Asian Studies for having me here earlier today and now, and thanks to Starsha, Rachel, and Jen, and also Lin Shu, who initiated this a while back, I believe. I always enjoy coming to Chicago, and I'm having a nice day, so thanks all. I will be reading from 2 manuscripts. The first one is called Pink Waves. I was talking about this briefly this afternoon. It's something, part of the process and form of this piece is thinking about the very, very extreme edges of translation. And sometimes translators are trying to translate everything about the text. They're trying to do the meaning and the sound and the style and the tone and everything. And I decided I wanted to just take one thing. And the thing that I chose to take was the syntax. And I took the syntax of a text called Black Dada by Adam Pendleton, the visual artist. And later on down the line, Ray Armentrout read my manuscript and said, "That's funny, Sawako is appropriating Ron Silliman." And I went back and looked at Ron Silliman's Ketchak, and that was the form that Adam Pendleton had taken. So there's a kind of double appropriation happening. And there are even lines that I stole from Adam Pendleton, who had stolen them originally from Ketchak. So there's an interesting, and that also kind of explains why I was drawn to it, because I kind of grew up under the spell of language poetry. So that influence kind of came around and came through in this work too. So it's a long, the whole poem, the whole book is one poem in 3 sections. It's A section, kind of a modified sonata form. And I'll be reading from, the sections are numbered 1 through 8 for each section, and I'll read a couple from the first and last sections. So this is part A. 1. It was a wave all along. 2. It was a wave all along. A passing moment reveals itself to have cued the long apology. 3. It was a wave all along, sliding between the heat of now and surrender. A passing moment reveals itself to have cued the long apology. I sat with a friend and the loss of her child. 4. It was a wave all along. A passing moment reveals itself to have cued the long apology. I sat with a friend and the loss of her child, sliding between the heat of now and surrender. And then somebody holds your wild you, closer to the range. The specs of a body don't reveal what it means, so which body do you want to wear today? The extent that we need another dollar. 5. It was a wave all along. A passing moment reveals itself to have cued the long apology. The extent that we need another dollar. It's haptic, it's your membrane, sliding between the heat of now and surrender. And then somebody holds your wild you. Which parts available for naming? Atop a sharp manicured nail. A quiet neck is often mismeasured as discomfort, which is indifferent to the noise of the world. The desk is positioned at the wrong height. Emails insert pointed arrows to indicate previous utterance in a moment of refrain. The desk is a spatial deadline, replacing a hip. She was an elegy function. She happened at once. She pitched. So did I love. These goals are a great carrier of stillness. 6. It was a wave all along. A passing moment reveals itself to have cued the long apology. Now I am at odds with myself, sliding between the heat of now and surrender. She was an elegy function. She happened at once. She pitched. So did I love. Emails insert pointed arrows to indicate previous utterance in a moment of refrain. Closer to the range. The desk is a spatial deadline. And then somebody holds your wild you. It's haptic, it's your membrane, cantilevered muscles, the extent that we need another dollar, atop a sharp manicured nail. Which parts available for naming? I want the drifting organisms of the space between. I want the slightly eroded quicksand moat to protect us all from impending waves. I want a decidedly animal resolution. A slip of concentration in the predicate vicinity is cause for a public lapse, crashing one wave after another. The desk is positioned at the wrong height. She was an elegy function. She happened at once. She pitched. The assumption of her back. The formal struggle of a vertical field of grass. Did your status change? Yes, we are warm. I want a very animal claim. When the goals bring the stillness, a new sound erupts as if out of nowhere. I think that some people just never stop writing. Sediments and molecules get inflamed more often than you think. Hip replacing hip. Internal findings move in super slow motion beneath the bedroom window. Seed of control. So this continues for a number of sections. And then there's a middle section that has a development. And I think I'll read one section from the middle section. This is part B, 8. Do you think that if I brought you more and more endless blue-green ovals, then far below the surface you could jam an entire shark following the manatee into your body, and you could translate that into this touch, that blow, and linger in a truer deep? Variegate me, you don't have to eat it. Art is there, it is, I adore you, I was wrong. If I say something, I will still be wrong, so I learn to hang with it. I miss you, I fall and brush the dirty sidewalk off my sleeve. In 2019, private equity investor Victor Lanzveskovo traveled 11 kilometers into the depths of the Mariana Trench and saw some shrimp, a spoonworm, a pink snailfish, as well as the sharp edges of a man-made object. In 1967, Solana self-published her Scum Manifesto and sold mimeographed copies on the street. Solowitz's paragraphs on conceptual art were published in Art Forum. The shoelaces of audience members who identify as such are covertly tied together, and when they try to run out of fear, that is when they see the light. I respect the need for bicycles and bathrooms, but suspect the voice of an external traducer, contest the outcome, the wrongness still murks. Yesterday, I wrote a letter to which I received a response in the form of a call and response called to conduct experiments in joy. A slip of concentration in the predicate vicinity is cause for a public lapse, crashing one wave after another. The solitude of my resistant pitch gestures towards commitments that merit utopian amorous manifestations. Netop means friend in Wapanak, Pangyo means friend in Chinese, mindful how you wield that word. Frogs die easily in sites of abundance. A road in Kusano-Shinpei's Iwaki is covered in frog kill. I need to enter the blue space between whatever measures of time the body requires to reassemble itself. A quiet neck is often mismeasured as discomfort, which is indifferent to the noise of the world. Anyone who enters can witness my quiet protest. I release it into the space and upwards a little. Empirical narrator turns the volume up against the ambition, the criminal, the acclamation. A woman lies in the middle of the central aching pasture from which she cannot get up. Avant-garde poet Takagai Hiroya wailing at the edge of the ocean in a post-311 Japan. I need the slightly eroded quicksand moat to protect us all, to protect us all. Sitting on the banks of a new book, I abolish your notion of beauty. The sound must never impose itself over the images or override or shout down. Conceptual artists do not march. They do not have feet and legs, not in that way. I do not claim Black Dada, but I know that certain uses of the word love is a trap. Would I be a writer without those who opened up space? The Black Dada Reader is a collage by Adam Pendleton in the form of a book. Internal findings undulate in super slow motion beneath the bedroom window. In 1960, the poem became a function. The desk is positioned at the wrong height. These goals are a great carrier of stillness. Back in the dirt, bring a flower when you visit in case the rest is unintelligible. She was a proxy for finite differences. She happened at once. She radioed. That bright light where your aesthetics bullies my politics. I am willing to describe you over and over again until you return. Not unlike an apology for the atrocities of the American War. A passing moment reveals itself to have been nothing, 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 nothing. If empire maps onto bodies, then which limb is your nation? Emancipatory and reactionary figures are allowed to coexist. Drowning people die quietly, while others make some noise. Women marched in 2017 in pink hats and not in pink hats. In 1969, Sirhan shot Bobby Kennedy. No, that was 68. Ursanada in the kitchen, Ursanada in the shower. Hard to come by a room of my own, but I do need some money. Destruction is only an opportunity to build and rebuild, refusal to participate in your version of understanding. I don't need to own your words, or for that matter, mine. If you do not want to be implicated, then get out now. Yes, you can. What I fail to embody can be dispersed and refurbished. That dark alley where my politics beats up your aesthetics. Since when is discernment the right thing to desire? I propose an evasion of inordinately large demands. The grand narrative collapses under its own weight. I take a kick in the mouth for you over and again. The scalpel is sharp, use discretion when cutting. My facility when it arm wrestles with your facility. I let you mortar muzzle, celebrate, and hate me. Speaking into a space where one is illegible. If time drops here, my function is to bewilder it. Any alerts on the table must answer to the desk. I've solved for X. Recall this too is joy. It appears I've made a fine mess of things, on time scales comparable to human lifetimes. I can't metric you no matter how much I try. Reflux is the new register upon which we vote. The formal struggle of a vertical field of grass. Your transfiguration too controlling for me. The tree of the shade of the leaf of the fall. How will I locate expansiveness in touch? The on-point rhythms of partial identities. No two bodies occupy pink the same way. That's just the way you love, by thinking. Back in the dirt, all the loves I have loved. Back in the dirt, naively rooting around. I don't need your flea bag scuttlebutt. What is globally fluid? Just think, just think. The extent that we need another dollar. I let you fall here like an intimate leaf, and I will share this room with you. I don't need to be at odds with myself. The steady abiding, the deaf gain. How can I make this wave speak? For you, my friend, a little discount. You, night, you. Do you know what I fail like? A fullness in mouth for two, a breakdown of the criteria. Destabilize this publication. Ursanata sung by a beetle. The desk is a spatial deadline. No music without friendship. Illegible man, irrisible man. I need you to see it, want it. Poppycock aperture power. Do you want more protection? Now I am at odds with myself. We want to make noise. Incontinental embodiment. You, fire. Performance never dies. Alone over my dead fire. Mariana Roa Oliva is going away. Lipstick transmission light. Black data is not mine. Solitude of my pitch. No and no, don't die. I need an explanation. Pulmonata, kidney of. Kick in my mouth. No normalized anger. Burnt confabulation. What about dinner? Gravitational light. Best case light beam. Your elegy fight. Evacuate this text. Seed of control. Line, hold to it. Fish or cigarettes. Do you like it? Prohibitive light. Do you hear it? The defiance. We ate them. Time capsule. So do I love. Light in haste. No language. Are you here? Black data. No landfill. Bed of fog. Is it here? Refuge. I'm going to stop there. You didn't have to clap, but thank you. This book is a new work for me, so I'm still learning how to read it, and I realized that that section I read just now wanted to end. So I'll read from the other book that's called Some Girls Walk into the Country They Are From. I have been living in Asia for about 15 years, and I decided at one point to return to this country. So this is the country that I am from. And the book is populated by a whole bunch of girls that are modeled on real humans, even as they take on extra human form sometimes. There are some translations as part of the book, some of them by myself, some of them by others. Sometimes I translated them back into English. Sometimes the translations are within English. There's kind of a range of questions around the boundaries between original texts and translations. Girls rolling themselves. There is a symptom in the proposition when that abundance gangs up. Head cocks to the heat, bending towards both livable and untenable. The exit grows and grows forgetful of its nature as orifice. Hand slackens in relation, a wrestle of train car, company, one day as if any other day or night. Send me there off. Something uncanny about these girls. Something believing and barely visible. I din in vain. Breath too full. Persist, hinder, say too much as if it were Vegas. Some get the stars shaken off of them. Some are given rose scent. Some are fed animal protein to fatten them up for the flood. When they emerge, they are 10 new girls, A through J. Under the condition of sending a warm thing by spoon. When asked who wants to ride, sometimes the girls jump up and down. Other times they duck, cover, and conceal. In the beginning, it was girl D, girl E, girl G, girl H, girl I, and girl J. The girls who are not yet moms, but want that ride, have been carting their potential children in a pouch somewhere. When girl J marries a gay man, he repeatedly says, "I'm gay, you know I'm gay, right?" Girl J says, of course, don't forget all the times I've been cruising with you. And there goes the warm thing. Will you be my spoon forever and ever? Now the bridge, a gray orchid, belonging to girl H, designated at birth, over time evolved from ima sarayane, yarahashi, yarahairo no ran, toka iware, temo kuroi, idea of orchid, it, to image of orchid, to real orchid, described as fitting for girl H. How perfect, how complimentary, how beautiful. We do not draw attention to the fact that they have long ceased to mention no naka de ugo meitei ru koi iro no hana ga bu kidato, girl H and her gray orchid. In fact, all of this took place so long ago that girl H's understanding of the orchid is limited to the vague yu koto dake wa kakushi sensation of a residual history. At the Great Bridge, girl H is asked to present her papers. All she, Toshi, has is the gray orchid. They accept it, but not without reminding her that she is crossing with a bad orchid. They will be checking on her, te iko. Her foot falters, she crosses. In the distance, a field of daisies waving. 10 girls stepping into and out of the light. Girl A, always girl A, dives headlong into her own skin, and as she steps into a vehicle of light, her skin rushing to catch up, enclosing her, closing her in within the steps, the box she carves out, the vertical column of space that is hers, the shadow closing into the vertical column that is hers. She closes it all in and holds her light vertical as if those next to her would steal it, as if girl B in the harsh sunlight is deflecting it all away, her light a path of shimmer in her wake, the residuals climbing near her as if the desire to remain connected, a desire to be part of something bigger, greater than all the light a pile of girls could possibly emit. Girl C makes a go of it, moves it, travels down with it, gathers it spilling over and out of her arms, and girl C uses her right elbow to turn off the light. Girl C lets in the natural. Girl C is the last one who can prevent the light from going out on that unnamed girl out there, floating, weightless, desperate, that girl who has let go. Sometimes it is only girl C that can cast a different light on the story. Sometimes when it is girl D bringing the light, those in her charge step in or out and they remain transfixed, subjects, helpless and at the mercy of institutional sources of light, resources in and out the window, light emanating out of that window and falling right into the lap of someone seated in the same train car as girl A, always girl A, scooting over to make room for the delicate frame of girl E, who never takes her shoe off, who does not yet know about the light beams that'll spring forth out of her toes when finally that moment is upon us. Finally, that moment is here upon us. Finally, girl F comes in and takes charge. Girl F and girl I, they have their fingers on the light switch. We can trust their fingers on the light switch. They are going to bring some light to girl G who needs it, and girl H who doesn't need flowers but could use some money, and then there is girl J, having spent a portion of her life with her head in the sand. When she emerges, she has a ball of light in her mouth. She'd never seen it before, but there in her open mouth it is there. 10 girls and a bag of potato chips. Fight over who gets which chip, as if there were no more than 10 chips in the bag. There are more than 10 chips in the bag. Girl A assumes that the bigger, the rounder, the better. Girl G believes that the beautiful ones should choose first. Girl C makes a bid for lung capacity. Girl J sees that the sharp edges of the less round, more imperfect chip might come in handy one day. She remains quiet. Girl I says no. Only Girl H takes note of the fact that the crispness of the chips is proof positive that the container, I mean the bag that they reside in, is airtight. Only Girl H has a feeling for her true position within the global economy and food supply chain and how it affects the likely outcome of their collective fate. She has trouble deciding whether to speak, slap, or remain silent. Girl H finally says, "Fuck that shit," and jumps into my pocket. The little pocket on the left side of my chest. She settles in all cozy like a cartoon mouse. She says she is done with humans. Rather than take any further action, she now sends little kicks through my shirt so that I can behave accordingly on both her and my behalf. 1 kick means go, 2 is yes, 3, 4, and 5 kicks are for how many beats to wait before making a move. 6, breathe, and 1 more, let go of that scowl. 7 quick ones tickle me out of an awkward situation. This can create a nervous laughter that gets me in trouble, and I start wondering if Girl H is really on my side or not. 8, stop. 9 kicks and bursts of 3 are a modified SOS, and I need to stop and attend to whatever's going on inside that pocket, like something I said could have made her shit her pants right there on my chest, at which point I would need to excuse myself to take care of it as quickly as I possibly can. And so it goes. There's 1 more I will never reveal. 100. By the time Girl H goes there, I know that I am done for. Her tiny foot beating on my chest slowly replaces my own heartbeat. It's an unconventional way to do things, but that's it for me. I can see the long-haul truck approaching from a distance, look down and see my own feet planted in the wildest of grasses, lush, reaching, lineal. She is already in me, not just in my pocket, but that beat is no longer breath nor direction. It just is and is and is. The bullshit meter breaks itself and jumps out the window. I breathe and breathe and breathe until I let go, and it all grows very quiet for a while. Star clusters like the clatter. Kata kata to in the kataka mouth of girl ka H, gen gently kata being ka pass to the mouth kata of girl ka I, who then kata 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 to turns to the nashi nashi pair, nashi skin, nashi lady, just kata now, nashi re nashi moving her hat kata tato. The star nashi clusters kana fall kata tato out of the mouth of the pear mouth, skin mouth, lady mouth, gata gata arara, and into the kata tata hat, which is then kata placed kata in the middle of the nashi room nashi kata. No one kata is obligata gata gated to say any nashi any nothing, but the kata kata karata of clatter girls nashi falls silent nashi around the kata to nashi the hat. That was a slight translation on a pre-existing poem. I'll read maybe 2 or 3 more. Girl A jumps into the orchestra. When my mother told me I should dress nicely, this is not exactly what any of us had in mind, because, as a matter of fact, I have no nice clothes anymore, not after the last time I jumped into a new country, but my things didn't make it onto the boat. It just so happens that the music was so joyful and inviting that I had no choice but to surrender to its beckon and take off all my clothes and jump in. If I had had an older brother, he would have advised me against the woodwinds and the strings, telling me to jump right into the lap of a tuba player, a lap I could have made a home out of. The music cut out right in the middle of my jump as a way of letting me know I was not supposed to remove my clothes for real, that the mother I was rebelling against did not actually exist. Thanks for telling me. Out of a failure to materialize clothing mid-jump on my way to the tuba player, as recommended by my hypothetical brother, I let go of one idea after another and just decide to ride this jump wherever it takes me. By the time the curtains go up, I am wearing not only the tuba player, but also the tuba. The music comes out of my buttonholes, and I can see the conductor through a gap in the hair of the magnificent tuba player I now wear. I resist the urge to start dancing, which would mess up the music, which would mess up the others who are already dancing to the music that they are. Deflated rubber turkey. There's one atop each of the girls' heads. Clearly, they've been playing this game for a while. There's only one girl whose turkey is still full of air, and that girl is Girl D. The game is called Duck, Duck, Turkey. They go through the motions of having an it and having that it walk around the outside of the circle of sitting girls, tapping them on their turkey heads while saying duck, 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 until they say turkey, while hitting the turkey on the head of a girl and then running around the circle trying to sit down in the open spot in the circle before getting tagged. The general stance over here is based on the unshakable belief that playing this game is going to lead to a better, more just society for all once everybody's turkey is equally deflated. And although most of the turkeys are indeed mostly deflated, none of the girls can keep themselves from glancing furtively at the head of Girl D, her hair positively radiant in the light bouncing off of the almost fully inflated rubber turkey on her head. How can this be? What is wrong with everyone else's turkey? Did Girl D get a refill? Or more air than others to begin with? Is that really a turkey? Maybe Girl D's turkey is not made out of rubber like the rest. What if the rubber turkey of Girl D was filled with turkey? Okay, I'm going to end with this one. I had the pleasure of watching two people fall in love right in front of me. And this is the poem that came out of that. Lake, like this, luminous continuity of seeing. On one half of the space behind my back lies. On another half of the space behind my back, multitudes of people lying down. I need to know if the cause is death or sleep or daydreaming. I wake up every person who is willing to open. It's true, there are mouths and they are full of it, but behind and from afar I can hear the marching band of Hap. Yeah, that old lake again. Its hapful inhabitants sing, approach, and drown it all out. I insist that it does do that, and that I see you too. Even if I let go momentarily, I still have an arm, even two, to fish out the meaty lies from between the layers of the water. And for each one I toss out, it most definitely rains orange petals, and this is why I have been saving the whole front half of my body, the direction I am facing with all of my forward self, so that I can feel everything that is headed this way, shining heads dancing this way and that. Thank you.